Samantha was my oldest child. She was my daughter. What she was like was vibrant. Sam looked at life as something to be engaged with completely. I'm not going to use all the adjectives every father uses about their daughter, intelligent, beautiful, friendly. Every father thinks his daughter is like that or should. And this is a question I struggle with to relay to you the uniqueness that Sam had. Because if I could explain her the way she was, she wouldn't be dead. She wouldn't be gone. Every part of her is gone. We say things like she lives in our memory, she lives in our hearts. It's been erased, it's been drowned, been concealed in a river. We won't ever get that back.
14-year-old Samantha Humphrey was last seen the day after Thanksgiving in 2022. She left her Schenectady, New York home to reportedly meet up with an acquaintance and didn't tell anyone and never returned home.
I had an overnight shift scheduled at the emergency room. I got up around 6 p.m. This is a 7 to 7 shift. Sam was with a couple friends in the living room. I said, what are you up to tonight? Oh, nothing. All right, I got to go to work. I love you. I love you too. Walked out the door. That was the last I saw of Samantha. Got out of work around 7:15 in the morning, came home as I normally would. I checked on Matt. He's asleep in bed. I went to check on Sam, and she simply wasn't there. Now, this was not as concerning as it might be. This was Saturday morning, and Sam spent a lot of times at friends' houses. I was mainly checking on her to make sure she had slept through the night and if she had friends over and that kind of thing. So I went down and spoke to Samantha's mother, who was living in the apartment downstairs, and she was unaware of any plans that Sam had. So we kind of thought, okay, well, she just didn't call us, which is inconsiderate and out of character. Sam was very communicative and let us know where she was all the time. And then just sort of as the hours ticked by that morning, this sense of dread kind of built up. At some point during the day, Sam's mother had called the police and said we didn't know where she was missing. And we just got total silence in any attempt to find her. My son spoke to some of his friends and they had an idea where she might have gone. So after dark, I got a flashlight, went down to the train bridge in Schenectady over the Mohawk River to try and look for anything. There wasn't really anything to be found by flashlight. So I went home. We all went to bed as best we could. I got up early in the morning, took about 6 people with me, my son, some friends of his, and we walked out to the bridge that goes over the river. It's a great bridge, and I was about 20 feet ahead of them. And as soon as I got there, I looked down through the grate, and right in the shallows, sort of half out of the water, was a silver coat. I didn't particularly recognize the coat, but it looked like something she would wear. I saw a couple of stains on the hood, and everything dropped out, and it's been dropped out since then. We called 911, the police came, they got the coat, and within a few hours they had sealed up the area. They were dragging the river.
Her body was found months later by a fisherman in the Mohawk River in February 2023. The cause of death has been ruled a homicide. However, there have been no arrests in the case.
Sam was amazing. She was the closest thing that I would ever have to a daughter. I don't have children of my own, and it's very, very close to my niece and my nephew. The last time I saw Sam, 2 months before she passed away, she was visiting me. I was living in my hometown of Syracuse, New York at the time. Her brother and her father, who is my brother Jeff, they were visiting me in Syracuse. Sam was really interested in getting into forensic science, and she wanted to go to Syracuse University. And the plan was for her to live with me. It was just really special. It was a treat. You never knew what you were gonna get because she was just so whip smart and so funny. But she had these kind of kid foibles about her too. Like, for example, anytime I took her anywhere and we got out of the car, she would always forget to shut the door. And I would yell after her, "Sam, shut the door." And I remember I would get so annoyed, it would make me crazy. But I would give anything to have that back. Do you know what I mean? It was just fun. It was so much fun. We had so much fun together. Sam loved lashes. She had this signature, these long fake lashes that she would wear. One of our last conversations, I was admiring how well she applied her lashes, and I asked her if she could teach me, and she seemed really excited to do that. I took her to get her first pedicure. Just being able to share stuff like that with her and made being an aunt to Samantha in particular just really, really special.
Sam was wonderful. She was wonderful to her brother. She was wonderful to me. And she showed me what a young person could be, how they could engage with the world, in a way that was different from what I saw in other kids.
Inside Edition Digital has obtained Samantha's autopsy, which states that both her cause of death and manner of death were undetermined. While the autopsy was inconclusive, the police are calling this a homicide.
So it's important to keep in mind, they were treating this as a homicide investigation from the beginning. There's never been any discussion, maybe this was an accident, maybe she took her own life. It's never been part of the narrative. And I don't exactly know why. I have a feeling that law enforcement knows things that we don't know. And that's fine, that's as it should be. They're conducting a murder investigation. When they started to use the language more strongly after she was found, that just sort of cemented what we knew. I feel like I have some duties. One of them is to try and share the memory of Sam as much as I can, and that's not a lot. And the other is to talk about justice. We want justice for Sam. We want her killer brought to justice. We have a competent DA. We have an aggressive DA. We have a careful DA. I might want things to move faster. We're not going to sit at home and wait for Sam's killer to be arrested or not. And just kind of live our lives that way. We're going to take what we view as the most effective route and the one that engages the most people. So the billboards were the start. I said, hey, here's a big thing. You have to see this. And a lot of people don't like seeing a picture of a dead teenage girl who they know was murdered and thrown in a river.
As the family awaits, they are not sitting back quietly and are demanding answers by placing billboards and lawn signs up in the city of Schenectady. A move similar to that of the plot of 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
So, Mildred Hayes, why did you put up these billboards?
My daughter Angela was murdered 7 months ago.
It's disturbing on their commute. And after a while, we felt like we'd gotten saturation on that. And this is meant to drive a fundraising loop. You see the sign, you want one on your lawn, they're free, but then you can donate. The donations we use to make more signs, and the same was the case with the billboards. And we can also use that money to build the reward. We started at $10,000, we've moved it up to $20,000. The lawn signs have the virtue that when you place a sign on your lawn of a murdered child, you're making an emotional investment. You're saying, I stand with Sam, I stand with this family, and I stand against a society in which we let this kind of crap happen, and there are no consequences, which is what this is beginning to feel like.
Samantha's aunt even started a GoFundMe page to raise money for a reward for anyone who comes forward with information.
It's not so much the information, it's the action of getting a conviction, getting somebody in jail. Samantha's life was taken from her. I have become very close with her friends in this time, and I'm seeing them get their learner's permit, get their driver's license, get their first car, go to prom. And Sam is missing all of this. And every time I see a new milestone, oh, here's a girl at prom, here's a girl at homecoming, Sam should be there with them. And she's not.
Nika has also created a Facebook page to raise awareness of her niece's case, but she is also connected with strangers in similar situations from around the country and has been holding events to keep Samantha's story and memory alive.
We've opened ourselves up to so much scrutiny and harassment and threats because, a child died and people want heads to roll and nobody's heads have rolled. So they're directing it at the family. I would rather just hide and just wait for a conviction to come, but I can't. I have a duty to Samantha to stand up and try to make something happen for her. So it's important that we keep holding these events, being able to lay our heads down at night, knowing that whoever did this has a fraction of the suffering that we have. Jail will only be a fraction of the suffering that we're enduring.
The life of Samantha's family has been turned upside down and altered forever. Jeff says while he and his ex-wife never officially divorced and have been separated, they keep in close contact and, like Jeff and his son, have since left Schenectady.
Doing as well as she can. She's employed. She's seen a really friendly, nice guy. They're sort of building life. She's devastated. We don't run around asking ourselves that because someone murdered her and that's who's responsible for her death. There's no amount of parenting, good or bad, that we did that carries the death penalty for our child. We understand that. We mourn her every day and we honor her by living our lives. We don't have the option to burn out or hide under a rock. There's a young man who's going to be an adult and who's going to be something. And he's going to be a reflection of the things his sister could have been. It's going to be very different things. He's a very different person. But he will be driven his whole life over this. And our job is not to get caught up in our own pain so much that we can't attend to him.
Jeff says Samantha's younger brother is coping the best he can, as he and his sister were very close.
He's doing okay. He's the strongest person I know, and we continue to teach each other through strength. His anger is obviously unmeasurable, but he's able to behave and function. He doesn't go out and get in a ton of trouble. He's not a self-destructive or otherly destructive kid. He's a thoughtful guy, and he is growing into a man for whom this is the dominant event. He asked me early on, a couple of years ago after Sam disappeared, this is going to be the main event of my life, isn't it? And I didn't know whether to be sad or satisfied that he was at least getting it, that it wasn't going to be something that he was going to sweep under the rug emotionally.
As the family awaits for answers, they picture what justice will look like.
I think justice to us is probably twofold. One is this person having their day in court to which they're entitled, and a corrective sentence that lasts as long as it needs to. A person like this, I imagine, it'd take a heck of a long time to correct. I'm a civilized person. I'm not going to talk about what might be in my heart. And that's not something that's going to happen in the state of New York anyway, so we'll stay in reality. The other thing that we'd like to see is a legacy for Sam. I found out through my job that it's very easy for young men to abuse and threaten and attack young women without any consequence, even when they have a record of felonies. There are safeguards in place in New York to prevent parents from protecting their children, and we would like to talk to Governor Hochul, Senator Tedisco, Representative Steck, Representative Santa Barbara, Representative Walsh, and we'd like to talk to them about something we might call Sam's Law, where in the name of curbing minor domestic violence, and I don't mean trivial, I mean youthful, that we change some of those laws, or we make exceptions in our laws for domestic violence because we realize those crimes are especially heinous, due to the nature of the victim and their relationship to their abuser. If we get any sort of legacy out of this besides the individual justice, I would love to talk to our lawmakers about what we could do to make it easier for mothers and fathers to defend their daughters and sons against predators like this.
I'm wearing Sam's ashes. I have them in a necklace on my neck. And it's just something that I keep with me and kind of helps me get through the day and reminds me, why I'm doing all the things that I'm doing.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Sal Bono.